This is implementing money-making SDKs. Thanks for coming today. How many of you guys went to the build a mobile business, not just a mobile app, yesterday? Okay, so about half of you guys. So this is Dean Browne and Paul Hounshell. I'm Mike Ying. We are three of the engineers on the mobile display ads team, and we're going to talk you through a little bit about implementing ads in your application, and then also some of the best practices and ways of making sure that people are going to see your ads, click on your ads, and make you some money. So first, there's the QR code. If you have any feedback for us, scan that. Tell us what you think. Also, if you're tweeting today, use hashtag IO2011 and hashtag Google APIs. All right, so today, what we're going to do is we'll just kind of go through a quick overview. We're going to run through the code parts of this talk relatively quickly. Everything we're going to show you today is also going to be available at our website. It's code.google.com/mobile/ads. We'll have that up at the end of the talk as well so you can see it. So we'll talk about a little bit about the setup, the integration on 3 platforms, Android, iOS, Windows Phone 7. We'll talk you through a little bit about the tracking and the reporting after that, and then some of the best practices and facts, and we'll try to keep some time at the end for Q&A. Okay, so for those of you that didn't go to the session yesterday, what's a money-making SDK? The AdMob network is a way for basically you to show ads from our advertisers, and every time someone clicks on an ad, you get paid. And we take a share of that, you get a share of that, and you get paid. So first step, go to www.admob.com. You can register today with your Google account. This is the same Google account you use for whatever other services you're using with Google. If you're an Android publisher, use the same Google account that you use on the Market Publisher site. You'll add a site that comes from the old days, if you guys remember WAP, when there were still mobile websites. So you can basically use a site anytime you want to show an ad in any of your applications. We recommend using multiple placements and multiple site IDs for each of those. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later today. And then you pick your platform and you download your SDK. So if it's Android, you'll get a jar. If it's iOS, you'll get a static library, and so on and so forth. So first, we'll talk you through the Android platform. So for our demo, what we use Eclipse, we use the Android SDK, and we use the ADT plugin for Eclipse. None of this requires Eclipse. You're welcome to do whatever development environment you like. We simply give this library to you as a jar, and you integrate it into your project. So what I'll walk you through is, first you have to add the ads SDK to your project and build path. I'll kind of gloss over that. That's already done for you in the demo. And then add the ad view to your layout XML, and add the ad activity to your manifest. So if you just want to do a very simple ads integration, and you don't really care about any sort of targeting or anything like that, you just want to show an ad and make some money, this would be one of the easiest ways of doing it. You take the ad view. It's a class that we give to you. You'll request a particular size. In this case, this is a banner that's 320 pixels by 50 pixels. In the case of Android, we tell you to use device-independent pixels. This way, you get an ad that looks good on any device, whether it's a Nexus S that's in high density, or one of the old, say, G1s that's in the regular single 1.0 density. In this case, the main layout has been named main layout. It's a linear layout. So we find that view by its ID. Then we add the ad view to the layout. And then what we do is we create an ad request. An ad request is basically giving all the information that you need to give us so that we can target the ad appropriately. This includes things like keywords, whether or not you want this to be in a test mode. So in this case, for testing, we set up a particular test device. This is one of our test devices. And you set it up as a test device to ensure that you get only ads in test mode, meaning we won't charge anybody. You'll just see this ad. It's more likely that you'll get an ad back, and then you'll just be able to use that to see that it's working correctly. So once you set that up, you simply put that in and load the ad, and it will show up. So let me switch over, and I can kind of walk you guys through what it looks like with a few other enhancements. So to start out, we'll walk you through some of the changes that are required in the Android manifest. This is where you specify information about your application. You can see what we did is we took the snake example from the Android examples. It's basically just like the snake on the old Nokia phones where you're a little line and you're running around trying to grab these dots that are apples. Okay. First, what we did is we added 2 permissions. First is the internet permission, and second is the access network state permission. We need those 2, obviously, to get out to the ad servers, and then also to check and see if you're on Wi-Fi or 3G. That's part of the ways that we'll decide what kind of an ad to show you. One other thing that we ask you to do is also to add a ad activity from our jar. What this does is this allows us to show particular landing pages that don't take you outside of the application flow. Sometimes this will happen. We'll use it when it's appropriate. And the basic idea is that we want to make this as seamless as possible for users so that it doesn't feel like they're getting pulled out of the application. OK, so next, the snake layout. Now, what we've done is we have a basic linear layout here. There's an ad view in the XML, and then a frame layout, which is where the snake game is actually played. So you'll see right here, the ad view here is being specified as 320 device-independent pixels wide and 50 device-independent pixels tall. We've also specified an ad unit ID. This is just a little bit of a departure that we make from the terminology used on the website. Back in the old days when everything was WAP, they were all called site IDs or publisher IDs. We try to call them ad unit IDs in the case of apps. A little bit later, we'll talk about different placements and why you might want to name different ads inside your application with different IDs. And then the last item is the ad size, which is the banner. It's 320 by 50. And then now, let's take a look at what we do in the snake activity. So at the point at which we had left it with the manifest and the layout, you would have gotten to see an ad no matter what. But here, what we're doing is we're making sure that this ad request is being requested in test mode, and then I'll show you a little bit about the ad listener callback interface that we set up so that you can do a little bit of different things depending on whether an ad comes back, when a screen is being shown over your application, and so on. So to walk you through, first we find the ad view as named in the snake layout. We set the ad listener as this particular class, and then we create the test request. Here what we do is we basically just say for the emulator, make these ad requests in test mode. It's important to do most of your testing in test mode only because we don't want to be testing with live traffic until we're basically ready to submit the app into the market. Okay? So from here, we set the test devices, and then we load the ad. Now, that could really be all you need to do. What that will do is that makes the request, gets the ad. We handle everything from that point on. If the user clicks on it, that's great. One thing what we've done here for this particular demo is tried to give you a little bit of polish around how the ad shows up. So here, we have an ad listener callback. This is on receive ad. This is basically what happens when an ad actually loads for the user. So in this case, I have sort of 2 animations set up. I decided just to use the scale animation here. What this means is when the ad shows up, we're going to take this and we're going to we're going to kind of zoom the ad in as it shows up, so over half a second. And then 2 other things we do are when we will let you know when the user has clicked on the ad and is about to leave the application. This is just so that you can know if, in the instance of snake, maybe I want to pause this. Maybe I want to pop up a options menu or something else like that, just so that when they come back, they're not in the middle of dying running into the wall or something like that, right? All right, so now let's take a run through this, and I'll show you. So Snake, it just says press up to play. So you can start playing at the same time the ad request is being made. And if our wireless network works, then you will see an ad. Otherwise, you might not. Let me try it one more time. All right, we have the demo gremlins. But you'll see, in this case, what we didn't do is we didn't add any code for what to do when the ad does not show up. So on failed to receive ad. This happens sometimes. If there's a network problem, we can't get to the network, we won't show an ad. There are definitely things you can do in that case to try to show something else in that spot. That could be one of your own house ads. That could be a different ad network. We have no problem with you using other ad networks if you want. And then we'll talk a little bit about that at the end as well. So let me come back, and we will hand off to Dean to talk a little bit about iOS.
Thanks, Mike. No? There we go. Can you hear me now? Yes. All right. Hi, my name is Dean Browne. I'm also with Google. I came over from AdMob and have been doing this for a little while. I'm here today to talk about the iOS Google AdMob SDK. And moreover, I'm here to talk about tablets. I think everybody in the room has probably worked with ads on mobile phones before. And there's a lot of similarities in tablets, but there are a few differences. There's just different ad sizes and different sort of usage. But I'd encourage you all to think about building your app and extending it to tablet right off the bat. Tablets are, it's where people go for casual computing. And if you're going to have ads in something, it's likely a casual sort of thing, a game, news reading, whatever it is. And so it's good to know a little bit about what's available to you. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is what ad sizes are available and sort of where to put them. I think when everybody thinks of a phone, it's pretty standard now. It's usually an ad that goes across the full width of the phone. You just kind of put it somewhere. But what other sizes are out there for tablets? So obviously, since I'm talking iOS, I'm talking iPad here. But you guys have your fancy new Galaxy tablets. And they're a similar resolution. They're a little bit more designed to be in landscape. But all the same ad sizes are the ones we support. And they look roughly the same as the slides you'll see. So the first ad banner size that I'd like to talk about is the medium rectangle. This is the most common ad size you see online. I see it on ESPN every day I go there. And it's the same size that we support in the SDK. It's 300 pixels wide by 250 pixels tall. And you can see it here. It fits really nicely inside a UI split view. UI split view and a lot of iPad constructs are about 320 pixels wide. So it gives a nice little 10-pixel border around it. This also works really well on all the honeycomb sizes as well. And there's a medium rectangle and portrait. Again, the exact same thing. It looks and works really nicely. The next size I'm going to talk about is a leaderboard. This is the second most common size that you'll find online. It's the same one. It's 728 pixels wide by 90 pixels tall. In this case, it's portrait. This is from the demo that I built. I'll show you a little bit later. And in this case, it goes pretty well across the width of all the screens. It looks really nicely, again, in landscape. I've seen it used in a lot of game over screens, things like that. This is a very common one I've seen done on tablets. A lot of people choose this. Those are the main two sizes. There's a third size that we support, which is the full banner. It's another online standard size, and it's just used less frequently. It's 468 by 60 pixels, and the use case for this is a lot, especially in the iPad, there are a lot of sort of overlays. So there's UI form sheets and presentation controllers, things like that. And it's a good size to fit in that. So here it is in just a form sheet, and there it is in a popover controller. In both cases, the constructs don't have quite as much screen real estate as a whole screen, and it's just another option available to you. All of these banner sizes work much better than a standard 320 by 50, which is just dwarfed on the size of a tablet screen. It gives a lot more real estate to advertisers, and we see really good performance. In general, I would also say that tablets, we see really good performance in as well. Very comparable to phones, in some cases actually better. And the use cases are very similar. I mean, people are spending a lot of time with their tablets every day looking at things. They're discovering new content, and ads is a great way for them to be able to do that. So with that, I'm going to go into the code. The code is very similar to a normal iPhone, putting it in an iPhone, like a smaller screen size, as well as the Android code. I'm going to talk a little bit, I'll demo all this again. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you create the ad, how you actually make the ad request, and then I'm going to show some effects, how to make the ad look nice. So I'll drop a shadow, and I'll have the ad fade in. All of these slides are going to be available online as well as this talk. And the code I will also release, so the slides aren't as important. Just wanted to cover what we were talking through. All right. So this is a feng shui compass. It's just done right now without any ads. I'm going to put an ad at the bottom, like you saw in the screenshot, just above the wood sort of paneling in the background there. In general, you know, the app has a lot of, it looks really nice. It's got a lot of detail. I'm not sure that really shows up on a slide, but you want to make your ad look nice. You want it to appear very professional along with the rest of it. So how do we go about integrating an ad, and then how do we go about making it look great in your application? So the first thing that we want to do is we want to place the ad. So this is some boilerplate code that basically puts it above, positions the ad above the wood panel. The one thing I'd like to call out here is that we are setting the size of the ad to the standard leaderboard ad size. Once you set the frame for the ad, the SDK will detect that it's a leaderboard and will properly make the right ad calls on your behalf. The second thing that we need to do is we need to tell the ad what is the root view controller of your application. This is important because it's how the ad knows when it's clicked how to take over your app and start to show the advertiser's content. The next thing is the ad unit ID. This is, in the AdMob case, this is an AdMob site ID, just like Mike had talked about before. You get this when you register for, on www.admob.com for your site. And that tells us how to position and create the ad. And the final thing we need to do is actually make a request. So the only part that's important here is to just say banner view load request. This particular example, I'm going to request a test ad, and I've whitelisted only the simulator to receive test ads. My actual device in this case would receive a real ad. So let's take a look and see how this ad looks so far. So if I just recompile it, you can see the ad appear at the bottom. It's the same app you saw before. It's a little bit hard to make out, but there is a new test ad that we're showing. It's part of our new App Galaxy campaign, and those of you that went yesterday to the business portion of how to work with ads will see it. Guide to the appgalaxy.com and see us later for information on it. This is a website that's just fantastic. It just shows you about the business of how to make money with mobile advertising and just mobile in general. I suggest that all of you go there if you have questions, if you're just trying to learn, or even if you think you know a lot, there's still good content in there. I was really impressed. It's a fun site. So I have the ad appearing, and I just want to click it, make sure that everything works. It does. The App Galaxy ad website is actually coming up when I click on it. However, it's a little bit hard again to tell there, but the ad doesn't really look as polished as the rest of the application. You really want to make it look like it's part of your experience. You just don't want to dump it in. You want to make things look good. So how am I going to do that? Well, I've used sort of lighting and dropping shadows from things throughout the rest of the application. So I want to do that in the ad. And the way that I'll do that is I'm just going to use a normal CA layer drop shadow. There's nothing specific to the SDK in this call. This just tells iOS to just drop a shadow from the view. The next thing I want to do is I want to have the ad fade in over time. And so the way to do this is I tell the view to initially be transparent. And then I set a delegate. So a delegate is a lot like a listener interface for those of you who are coming over from Android. It's just a bunch of methods that I am optionally able to implement to get notifications from the SDK when events happen. In this particular case, by registering myself as a delegate and implementing the add view did receive add method, I'm able to be notified by the SDK when an ad successfully comes in and then do something. And in this case, all I'm doing is making the transparent ad go to fully opaque over 0.4 seconds. That's a standard animation length you'll see in Android and iOS. It's sort of the I saw something happen, but it's not too slow speed. And so with that, when I recompile, you should notice the ad in the same place, but it'll slowly fade in for you. Has a little bit of a drop shadow. Again, I apologize for how it looks on the projectors. But I encourage you to all go grab the code and take a look at it. It's just a little bit sharper, a little bit nicer experience. You know, I can still see that when I click the ad, it still brings up my, it still works. Everything's fine. I know that everything's good to go. And with this, the app would be done. So with that, I am done. Please feel free to ask questions later on. I'm going to turn it over to Paul. He's going to talk a little bit about Windows. Thank you, guys. I like it.
Hi, I'm Paul Hounshell. I'm going to show you the Windows Phone 7 Ad SDK. With this SDK, we've really gone to match the functionality in the phone versions of the other two SDKs. But we've taken advantage of some of the Windows Phone 7 features to make it even easier. Today, I'm going to show you an example of how to add it to a Silverlight-based application. If you don't know anything about developing for Windows Phone 7, there's two models, Silverlight and XNA. And XNA is more of a game programming model. Silverlight is more of a forms-based programming model, and it's a little bit easier to work with. So it works well for a demo. Our steps are even easier. We need to add the actual DLL to our application, and then we need to add the control to our layout. This is basically it. You can see there's the add reference dialog box, and that's the XML to add it to our display. And so with that, I'm just going to cut to the chase and show it. So because this is the simplest, I'm actually going to live code this. I'm taking a risk here. But it's actually really straightforward to go through this process. So like I said, well, the first step is to create a brand new solution that we've never worked with before and has absolutely nothing prepared ahead of time in it. And first, we add our reference to the DLL, which is already set for me. And then we need to add the actual namespace reference, which, thanks to the benefit of IntelliSense, it will automatically do most of the work for me. And then we need to add the actual ad control. Grab that. And that is it. Our ad has been added to our application. And this should show shortly when the emulator fires up. There's our application running, and our ad should pop in right there. Now, again, like in iOS, we want to have a slightly nicer aspect to this. And that 0.4-second animation really kind of makes it a more gentle experience for the user, which in turn leads the user to click on things more often. So adding that is using standard built-in Windows Phone 7 functionality. We can add a storyboard animation. Like so. And we're going to animate the opacity. So so. And then I'm going to give a name to my ad. And then last, I'm going to add an event handler so that I can actually handle this, the ad being received and fire up that animation. I believe that should be it, unless I miss a step. Thank you very much. I went a little too fast. And there the ad fades in nice and smooth. Again, this is using no special SDK functionality. This is all using built-in phone capabilities. And so we've really worked to integrate it into the phone systems in a nice and natural manner so that these things are possible. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Mike for talking about targeting and or metrics. And thank you.
Great, so now that you guys know how to integrate the SDK, we can talk a little bit about some of the more business side of things. So how many people out there remember from yesterday what requests, impressions, and fill rate all mean? Okay, so half of the people that went to the session yesterday. So we'll just go over it pretty quickly again for you. Basically, every time you ask the ad server for an ad, that's an ad request. Some percentage of that time, we will return you an actual ad to show. That's an impression, and you basically take that percentage, that's your fill rate. Of the impressions that you serve, people will either click or they won't click on them. We measure that as your clicks over your impressions or your click-through rate. And then based on your click-through rate, you have your revenue. So if you have, 1,000 requests, let's say you get 1,000 impressions back, you have, 50 clicks on that, and say you're getting paid 5 cents a click, you're going to get paid accordingly that way. Your eCPM is another metric we use to kind of measure the value of your ads. What that means is an effective cost per 1,000 impressions. So what it means is depending on what the cost per click is for a particular ad, the amount of money you make based on 1,000 impressions is going to fluctuate. So we call that an eCPM, and that's basically the average for 1,000 impressions that you get from a particular ad network. As you guys probably remember from yesterday, if you didn't see the session, you should go take a look at that. eCPM fluctuates quite a bit from day-to-day, month-to-month, and network-to-network. So it's a good idea to kind of keep an eye on that and think about different ways that you can help maximize your revenue between all this eCPM fluctuation. So you'll see in the AdMob UI, this is a way of kind of tracking some of this business side information, right? Your revenue, your eCPM, your requests, your impressions, they'll all show up like this. You'll be able to view it day to day, month to month, over pretty much whatever time period you wish. So you may go through and you may see that for this particular app, the fill rate is pretty good to start, and then it starts to drop off a little bit. This is one of our test apps, so your mileage may vary. So talking about some of the best practices, you know how to put an ad in your app now, and we've talked to you a little bit about how to kind of make the ad look a little bit prettier so that it doesn't, so it's not just sitting there stuck on top of whatever application you have. It actually does pay to think about how you're going to place your ad and where it's going to live in your application. If you put the ad in a place where no one's going to look at it, no one's going to click on it. So one of the things we like to do is we like to tell people create a separate ID for each of your ad placements. If you're going to put one on the front page of your app, if you're going to put one in between levels, use separate IDs for those particular ads. It may not be something you're thinking about now, But in the future, you may want to be able to control different things on those ads at different times. So whether it's the presentation and the color of that ad, or whether you want to turn the ad off on particular parts of your application, this gives you that kind of flexibility. Because of that, use descriptive names. Otherwise, you'll forget which ad you're messing with. And it's good to, don't play too many games with your users. And then also remember, use ads in the right place and at the right time. Just because we showed you guys a little bit of animation, it's not recommended to have the ad slide in under a user's finger. We know when a click is not very valuable, and obviously those things may seem like you might get some more money, but it won't work out the right way in the end for you. So, good times in a game would be between levels when the user is not particularly worried about, messing up their game, or having to pause their game just to get to the ad content. And then also, stay away from controls. We've seen sometimes where people will stick an ad right next to a menu bar, or right next to some other kind of button, and it just tends to get you sort of the accidental clicks that end up not converting, and we're able to measure how valuable these clicks are. So it's better to make sure that the people who are clicking on your ads actually want to see the ad content and want to see more about the information. So some other frequently asked questions. What happens when your app changes orientation? The ads, they act just like any other piece of the UI. They will rotate. One thing that they do not do is they don't scale across the landscape. So that's sort of based on the advertiser really likes to have a very fixed size of their ads. So 320 by 50 is a standard that the IAB, which is the Internet Advertising Bureau, it's the standard that they establish. So it does look a little bit weird on landscape, but once again, we encourage you to think of good ways of integrating that into your landscape game or your landscape application. One thing we've seen that works really well is we've seen some games that have taken the space that's remaining between the side of the screen and the end of the ad and using that as part of the scoreboard or something like that. It's better not to just have empty blank space on each side of the ad. It's good to think about what do you want to do when you're showing a landscape orientation. And can my app be notified if an ad call succeeds or fails? Yes, I think we showed you the ad listener or the delegate, or in all the cases of all the callbacks that you'll get. We have callbacks for the ad loading or not loading, when the application is going to be closed or somehow obscured by content. And those things are really good. It just gives your users a good feeling like it's okay for them to click on the ad if they know that when they come back, their app is going to be in the same state as it was when they clicked on the ad. And can I specify extra targeting information to get better ads? Absolutely. Some of the things we let you put in there are keywords. We'll let you put location information in there. One caveat is that we ask you only to give us location information if it's part of your app's normal usage. So if you are if you're a news application, it might not be appropriate to gather the location just for the purposes of ads. But say you're some sort of mapping application and you're already getting the location as part of your user's normal walk through the application, then that's something you can give to us, and we'll use that to help target our ads. And then also, what does no fill mean? A lot of times you'll see no fill. That's going back to the idea that not every request will get filled with an impression. So there are some cases in which we'll feel that it's not appropriate to give back an ad. And so not every request will be filled with an impression. That's OK. Sometimes it's just not the right time. It's a temporary condition. As you saw, sometimes future requests will return ads. And this is going back to the whole thing about eCPM and fluctuation of fill rate plus eCPM. We encourage you to use mediation. If you need to learn more about mediation, you can go to Guide to the App Galaxy or reference back to the session that we had yesterday. It talks about some of the mediation solutions like AdWorld at adworld.com to kind of go between different ad networks and be able to maximize your revenue. And so some of those resources, The code site is code.google.com/mobile/ads. We have information about our SDKs as well as example code. We're going to post all of the examples we showed today up there. Also, inside each of the distributions, we'll have a README and Java docs as appropriate. And then we have two groups. One is more publisher and business oriented. That's for non-technical support. That's at AdMob Publisher discussed there. And then for the more technical side of things, you can go to Google AdMob Ads SDK. And then also, as you saw before, we've got the guide to the App Galaxy. That's how you can really get an idea of, okay, you've got this great app, now what? It'll give you a good idea of all the different ways that you can monetize your application. That's either with paid downloads, freemium models, house ads, direct sold ads, and then regular ad-supported applications. All right, and with that, if there are any questions, feel free to use the mics up in the front.
Yeah, Bob James here. You mentioned the leading and the full. What's the difference? They're kind of the same thing. The dimensions are slightly different.
Oh, so you were talking about the leaderboard format?
Leaderboard versus full, I think it was.
Versus the full banner?
Yeah, full banner.
Yeah, one is just smaller than the other. Yeah, they're roughly the same aspect ratio. The leaderboard is just a much bigger size. It's the one that you sort of see at the top of the fold on most websites you go to. It's like the sort of top most ad size. It's a little bit more common. It's a roughly like 70% wider, so it's pretty good. So if you take like the new Galaxy tab that you just got, it's going to be 1280 by 800. It's like roughly the size of like an A14 legal sheet of paper. Most people hold it kind of sideways or whatever. And so you'll see that ad will occupy about 60% of the screen's width, and just, I have to do the math, but like 10, 12% of the height. So. Anybody else?
Okay, if there are no other questions, feel free. We have office hours today until 5 o'clock. We're on the 3rd floor. It's basically exactly in this same spot, just upstairs. Feel free to come by if you have any questions about the code or any of the things that we've shown you. We're happy to sit down and talk to you about all the stuff, or how to build your business as well. And then leave us some feedback, tweet, and thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.